Alright, these are my OnCourse textbook annotations. I'll kind of just flip through quickly here so that I can see them all, and I'll definitely stop on the marked pages. I thought that was good to know, how to calculate your GPA. I made a underlined here about hard versus soft skills. I made some asterisks about money management and how to look for different funds and grants for college. I did make a note here about how, although my inner defender, I listen to it occasionally, my inner critic is definitely a much stronger voice in my head than the defender. I made a mark here about how all of my past choices kind of led me to where I am, but they will also lead me to where I'm going. So even though I wish I had made some different, better choices when I was younger, it'll only help me in the future for definitely knowing what not to do. I made a note that most jobs that I've seen definitely want at least an associate's degree. A college degree is kind of just becoming a standard. We Are What We Imagine Ourselves to Be by Kurt Vonnegut Jr. I thought that was a excellent quote. I underlined this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Sounded interesting. And I did make a note here because this quote talks about using a planner and how it kind of changed that person's life. And I made a comment to keep better track and to start using a calendar or planner and make a note of all due dates or dates when bills are due, things like that. I thought this was interesting that the average office worker is interrupted every 11 minutes because I work in an office and I feel like me and my coworker are interrupted much more than once every 11 minutes throughout the day. I did make a note to do that, which is the success deck. We must show that we value the other person professionally, personally, or both. I did underline here that as much as 90% of the message we send is conveyed non-verbally, and that was a lot more than I thought. I made a comment here because we are in the chapter about interdependence, and it is kind of one of my weaker points. But here it says nearly every job requires that you work well with others, and I just made a note that I do. I just prefer to work more independently if possible. I made a note here about how I'm always running late because I think I have more time than I do. And I also thought this was just kind of fascinating that any memory, even lost ones from our past, can affect our present. And then over here, that self-awareness allows you to identify that you are off course. There's a note about fixed versus growth mindsets there. In the learning preference inventory, I am a thinking learner, and then doing would be my second. I wasn't really all that surprised by that. I made a note here that social media is riddled with false information. And when it discussed about the study on if people knew how to, or if they thought they knew how to determine whether it was false information or not, I thought it was interesting that the majority of people could not tell. I thought this was a smart idea, having a general resume with all of the information on it, and then tailoring it to specific jobs that you're actually applying to. So kind of having a master resume that you can whittle down for each job. A fundamental principle is to never make an important decision while experiencing strong emotions. That is actually something that I've lived my whole life by, so it was kind of cool that it was noted in the book. I did make a note here that under the feeling anxious, I am almost always anxious. And one of the choose new behaviors to help with that was to prepare thoroughly, and that is actually something that has helped with my anxiety, is to prepare as much as I can and have as much of the information as I can, even if it's something as simple as driving to a new place, wanting to know what the outside of a building looks like, or things like that. I noted here that the good news is that self-esteem is learned, so anyone can learn to raise his or her self-esteem. And as someone who has had low self-esteem most of their life, that was kind of a nice thing to read. And then finally, for the journal entry number 32, when we retook the quiz, I noted that all of my scores went up. All in all, I enjoyed the textbook and I feel like I learned a lot. Thank you.